you're in a situation where essentially a colonial state was created another colonial state, and there was a population that was already living there. Partly they thought that they were entitled to this land. Partly they had been given assurances that it would be given to them, and it wasn't. And now you have these, again, many of them integrated into Israeli society. That is true. But then you have these other enclaves. Initially, there were 3. Now we're down to 2, and we're going to be down to 1 here pretty soon because they're just going to ethnically cleanse Gaza. And or at least they're probably going to do that, right? And then, like, what happens? And in these territories that are under military occupation, well, it's military occupation. They're deeply unequal. They are, subjected to any number of different. I mean, so these are apartheid. This is essentially like the what's called Greater Israel, which includes these territories. This is just flat out apartheid. That's not me saying that. That's Human Rights Watch saying that. That's Amnesty International, and that's the Israeli human rights group B'Tselem also saying the exact same thing. So that's take that for what it is worth. And so you just have this situation between people who had been there during the decline of the Ottoman Empire, and who felt like they were entitled to a state, who didn't get one, and then you have post-World War II happens, and they wanted to create a place after obviously the Holocaust, a place safe for Jews, and they created a Jewish state. But they didn't really countenance the needs of the Palestinians who were there at the time, questioning even if the notion of did a Palestine ever really exist, if it was never a formal nation state, similar to the Kurds. And they never really, the short answer on us is they never really solved the problem. They never really dealt with Palestinian needs of sovereignty. And that leads us to our present conflict. It just went unresolved. There's much more to that, where, you have the 1967 war, where they were able to claim greater swaths of territory and push out a bunch of Arab armies. And, this changed the debate around what the Palestinian national efforts, what they consider the demarcation line of their territory and whatnot. It's a very complicated debate, but in short, there was a space that was under Ottoman occupation, and then British, and not just British, but British colonial occupation. It's more than that, but they were part of it. And they just decided in post-World War II, essentially, to just, after the Holocaust, to use that for a haven for Jews to escape persecution, which I think, any reasonable person can understand, but you then still have to account into the needs of the Palestinians. And I would submit to you that they simply did not.